All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of The Legend of the Three Kingdoms. Yes, this is one of my custom homebrew D&D campaigns set in my weird homebrew D&D campaign setting, and the people below me are the people that I've been having a delightful conversation with for almost an hour. And kind of forgot we were here to play D&D. So that's why we were on Starting Soon for so long. And for those of you watching this on YouTube that don't know what I'm talking about because I don't hit record until just before we go live. What do we
What?
What?
Body swapped. Body swapped.
Body swapped. Oh yeah, Valen Rowan. Oops. I swear you guys were in the right spot before. Anyway, now that you've rudely ruined my introduction, hi everybody. Announcer moments. This Saturday we actually have something cool happening in Zelda Universe. -1 Charisma, which is a D&D channel group thing that doesn't always play D&D, but they're a tabletop RPG group. That I'm actually friends with one of the members, Dan Hutton, who's amazing and wonderful. They're actually going to be doing a parody game called Schmelda. And it's going to be hilarious because they're all amazing, wonderful people. That's this Saturday at 9 a.m. Pacific time on twitch.tv/Zelda Universe TV. Check it out. It's super cool and fun. And then the other thing we have to mention, because I have over 90 hours in Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and I haven't played it in a few days. I got 90 hours in that game in the first week. Brilliant game, by the way. But Critical Role is actually going to be doing a Legend of Zelda themed one-shot on Tuesday next week. So definitely looking forward to that. So yeah, cool stuff. Trying to think of anything else. Oh, and campaign 2 of Realms of the Wild, which was the Zelda RPG that I run for Zelda Universe, has been announced. It will be premiering June 17th on twitch.tv/Zelda Universe TV, and it will be called Tears of the Realms. Because of course it is. And yeah, we actually have I have the last 2 characters. I'm meeting with their players this week to kind of finalize them, and then we go into full-on pre-production. We're gonna have trailers and all this cool stuff. So I'm excited. I think the characters are amazing. Every single player, when I've sat down with them to build their character, has kind of gone, you know what, I kind of have an idea, but I don't know. And by the end of the conversation has been, oh my god, I'm so excited about this character. So I'm excited. They're excited. There's going to be cool voices and accents and fluffy animals and space. Because why not? I don't know. It's going to be cool. And I put a shit ton of work into this damn campaign. And it's not done yet. So anyway, yeah, tune into that in June. Otherwise, I think that's everything I've got. Unless somebody here has something really massive that's going on. Cool. Then it's time for us to return to the Legend of the Three Kingdoms. The party has finally triumphed over the supposed dragon that was living beneath Scornmote. After fighting their way through endless traps and misdirections, they came down and fought against 4 mind-controlled individuals, eventually able to take down the Bloody Fang, a character from Argenta's past, whom she finally got closure with. After returning and saving one last final prisoner, they started making plans for where they were going next. The entire purpose of their trip to Scornmote had always been to get to Demise Tower, where they've been told a prisoner that the Dark Lord fears has been trapped there. Getting as much information as they could, they have learned that there's a boat that is magically enchanted to allow them access to it, but beyond that, there's no information about the tower itself. Anyone that goes in never comes back out. And the only person to ever interact with anyone from the outside is the lone jailer, who no one has ever seen their face. And that is where we return. So, remind me, when we left last, I know Liliane had gone off to speak with Balthazar, right? Bartholomew? Starts with a B, and it's a biblical name.
Yeah, Balthazar.
There we go, Balthazar. I don't know why I confuse those two names. And you were able to take a book of his own, or a contraband book of writings about the Dark Lady, right? Or was that... no, that was Relwyn.
That was a real one.
Yeah, that was Roman.
Yes. There we go. And I think you guys were all getting ready to get some sleep before heading off in the morning, right? Okay, cool. So, as you guys bed down in the inn where you've all been given your own private rooms, Liliane, as you are sleeping rather well, since this is the best bed that you've been in probably over a month, and the first time that you haven't had to worry about setting up a watch or anything, you are slightly upset when you realize that someone is attempting to come into your room. You can hear the lock being opened from the outside, and the door is slowly opening so as to make the least amount of noise possible. But none of that is quite enough for you to not realize what's going on. What would you like to do?
I grab my sword and I get up and try to position myself where I'm hidden by the shadows and...
Okay. Go ahead and make me a stealth check with advantage.
And that would be a 22.
Okay. So, as far as you can tell, the figures that are attempting to come into your room at the moment don't seem to have noticed that you are no longer in the bed. As you take your sword and kind of grip it, you do notice that the blade itself is not glowing, which seems odd to you. You can't see any faces, but they are silhouetted from the light in the hallway, and you can see they're all wearing swords. Some of them wearing 2 or 3 of them in various places. Some of them have them on hips. Some of them have them on their backs. They're all wearing leathers. And while they are being very, very quiet, they don't seem to be trying to be quiet. They just seem to be naturally stealthy people. And so they all, in total, there are 5 of them that show up, and they all start kind of surrounding the bed. And one of them steps forward and goes to check the bed for you, and sees that nothing is there, and just starts looking around. And as the rest of them notice that there's no one in the bed, they all start pulling weapons. What would you like to do?
And the check in the bed, I'll try to sneak out to him, one of them,
Mm-hmm.
and then do the close to the, I'll say, and to the back,
Okay.
and I'll be like, who are you?
Go ahead and make me a grapple check.
Okay, what is that? Straight?
Strength athletics.
The straight?
Yeah, just strength athletics. I'll give you advantage on it since you will be surprising them.
Well, a 9.
9?
Oh,
Well, I rolled a 5, so because I was rolling. So you do kind of show up, and you get your blade to a point where, because they are a little bit bigger than you are. Like Lillian is not.
Yeah.
I would never call her a small person, but she's not incredibly large. And these are kind of big built dudes, and so you kind of wrap your arm effectively around one of their waists, and have the blade pointed up at one of their necks. And the one that had kind of checked the bed for you goes, Lillian, it's rather impressive. And you recognize the voice of one of the blood hunters you've dealt with while you've been here. Not your particular mentor, but one of the ones that you remember seeing earlier. I would take it as a personal favor if you would leave his blood unspilled.
I'll use that, but I'll still have it. But if anything were to happen, I can quit. Do you have a habit of listening to people's rooms?
This is a private matter. We're intending to meet with you without letting the rest of your friends know.
So, here I am.
We've come for your blade.
What about it?
As a blood hunter matures, so does their blade. And eventually, it gets to a point where it can no longer mature without being bathed in a ritual of power. Your blade has reached that point, and if we do not perform a ritual, then it will never get any stronger.
I'm assuming I know about this.
Yeah. You're your particular blade has had one ritual performed on it
Yeah.
before. The ritual of the vampire, I want to say. What was it called again? It's not like I wrote the damn thing.
That sounds right.
I can tell you in a couple seconds here because I have it all written down. I literally wrote part of this like a few hours ago. Come on, computer. There we go. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, you'd had the ritual of Dawn's protection done on your blade, which basically infused it with anti-vampire abilities. Your blade can now produce actual sunlight and things. So this is again, having a specific Bloodhunter blade is something that is a huge mark of prestige for a Bloodhunter. Very few Bloodhunters have their own personal blade that has gone through, because in order to do it you have to go through a lot, and generally you have to slay something that you can use to infuse the blade. And with the fact that you haven't slayed any super powerful monsters recently, it seems slightly odd that they're going to perform a ritual on it now, because you have no monster parts to infuse into it.
Why now?
As we said,
I've killed it, but nothing overly powerful.
well, you've succeeded in doing something that has not been seen in the Ghost Hunter Order in generations. To reveal any more would be unwise right now. But if you would follow us, we will take you to the ritual site, and all will become clear. And he holds out his hand for your sword.
Oh, hesitated is. Then I'll give it to him.
Okay. He takes it, and you watch another Bloodhunter come out, and they have a specially treated oilcloth. You watch them kind of place there, and they slowly kind of wrap the blade. And then they walk out.
Oh, we're on with whatever is wrapped.
Mm-hmm.
And
The quick stuff, maybe not full on don your armor,
yeah, but
enough that you're not going to get looks from people.
yeah.
One thing you notice is that the path that they take, you don't see a single soul as you walk through the inn. You don't know if they have encouraged people not to be there, or they simply planned so well that they did it when no one was going to be awake and notice you. But as soon as you get into the night air, you see them pick up the pace pretty briskly. Like, not full on running, but they do go into kind of like a double time movement, and they don't even check to see if you're following them. They just start going.
Oh,
Okay.
follow.
You have no.
Maybe I'll keep my head out of trouble, but I'll follow.
Yeah, you notice again. You don't see a single soul the entire time that you're doing this. You don't have a super hard time keeping up with them. This is definitely faster than you're used to moving with the party, because all of these people are in effectively peak physical condition.
Yeah.
As you get, it takes you roughly about 45 minutes to an hour before they finally get to, you can see a clearing ahead of you, and you guys left the city 20 minutes ago, easily. And you can see there is a small fire that seems to be fueling a very, very small, compact, looks kind of like a mini forge. There is a decent-sized anvil, and you can see three more figures standing there. One of them is again a face that you don't recognize, but in one of his hands he carries a blacksmith's hammer, so it's relatively obvious what his purpose is here. Yeah. The other two figures are a little bit more surprising. The first one you see is wearing the traditional clerical robes of the Dark Lady, and you recognize kind of the smiling eyes of your father standing there. And next to him, in again traditional clerical robes of the Dark Lady, is Terrace. As you get there, the blood hunter that had led you here takes your sword out, unfurls it, and hands it to the blacksmith, who kind of looks at it, nods, and goes over, and you watch him kind of flick his wrist a little bit, and you watch as his blacksmith hammer erupts in flame as a tiny bit of blood is shed from a ring that he wears on his figure. As you watch him imbue his blacksmith's hammer with the rite of fire. And he uses that fire to get the forge hot, and he kind of puts your sword into it and just keeps kind of fueling it with his blacksmith's hammer fire. The blood hunter that brought you here goes, "Today we perform a ritual that has not been performed in generations. As much as we all of the Ghost Hunter Order revere the Dark Lady in her guidance of souls from here to the afterlife, most have never taken a vow or pledged themselves specifically to the Dark Lady, nor have they formed such a solid bond with someone who channels her power so powerfully. So today, we invoke the ritual of allies' piety to infuse this blade with the piety and faith of a true believer. Terrace, step forward." And you see her kind of, she looks completely confused about what's going on. Your faith has brought you here. You've used it to perform miracles in the name of the Dark Lady. She channels her power through you. And yet you have used that power to aid this blood hunter in exacting justice against the undead. The connection that you two have created is something that is so powerful that nothing aside from death can stop it. We have brought an ordained cleric to invoke the name of the Dark Lady as we infuse your bond into your blade. And Terrace keeps kind of looking around. So, what do I have to do? You've already done it. Blacksmith, present the blade. And as your blade is pulled out, you can see instead of it being kind of red hot, which you would expect from it being in a forge, it shines with this bright white light, and he places it down on the anvil. And as he places it on the anvil, you see arcane runes light up around the entirety of the anvil. Your father grasps his symbol of the Dark Lady, presents his hand, and knowing, you yourself understanding that the Dark Lady has been cut off, you're not really sure what to expect. But surprisingly enough, you see the familiar kind of deep indigo glow of the magic that she imparts to her followers. And you see him extend his hand, and you can watch as this deep indigo magic starts flooding your blade. And then you watch as Terrace, almost without thinking, kind of clutches her own holy symbol. And you watch as this beam of deep indigo light connects the blade, and then another one connects and hits you directly in the heart. You can feel this strange kind of warming sensation. And you watch as the blacksmith brings up his hammer, where the flames themselves have changed from the deep fiery red to a deep indigo color. He slams it down, and you can feel in your chest every hit of the hammer as he slams it. You watch as Terrace kind of flinches every single time. And your father just keeps sitting there, and you can hear him muttering some sort of incantation that you don't recognize from a spell that you've never seen cast before. And it seems like hours pass with the blacksmith just continuing to kind of beat and mold this blade with this energy. And finally you watch him pick up the blade and present it to you. And you hear him go, "This blade cannot be quenched in water or oil. It must be quenched in the faith of a true believer. Take your blade."
Hold me out and grab it.
As you hold onto the blade, you feel this huge surge of power. And the other blood hunter goes, "Terrace, touch the blade." And she seems to hesitate for a moment, looks at you, and as her hand touches the blade, you feel this huge influx of energy kind of flowing through you. And the blade itself becomes heavy. So you grab it with both hands, and you start feeling the blade shift as you hold it. And the handle seems to be coming apart for some odd reason. And as you sit there, the blade separates. And now, in your left hand, you hold a perfectly formed dagger with a almost like sunbeam shaped blade. And in the other hand, you now hold a short sword, both of which glowing with daylight. And you see a new rune get carved into the blade itself on both of these. The ritual is complete. Liliane, you were the first blood hunter in 7 generations to hold a blade blessed with the ritual of Ally's piety. His blade connects you and Terrace. Her faith, her belief, unshaking and unwaverable, has now been forged into this blade. She shall be your ally. When you are at your darkest, she will appear and will fight with you in the name of the dagger in your left hand. What would you like to do?
Oh, wait, oh, no, no, for that all. Thank you for the honor and all to the spirit and all of them.
As about a minute passes, you feel the blades start kind of drawing to each other, and they kind of reforge back into the traditional longsword that you're used to using. The rest of the blood hunters and the forge master kind of turn to you and kind of bow. Unfortunately, we have other things to deal with tonight. Apparently the blood pack is on the prowl, and they don't tend to like us. So it would be in everyone's best interest if we leave. Congratulations on your new ritual.
Thank you.
Annie turns to Terrace. Miss? And then they kind of just start jogging off, and within about 30 feet they're just gone. They've slipped into the underbrush and the very lightly wooded area that you're in, and have just vanished into it. Terrace kind of turns to you and goes, "Your friends are weird."
I mean, you met my other friend too, so...
Valid point, but I'm happy I can help you out, though with everything that's happened, I'm not sure I'm entirely worthy of it.
You are. For me, you are.
Father comes over. Well, we keep meeting under strange circumstances.
Yeah, we do.
Sorry it's taken this long for me to find you again, but we've been busy in...
Yeah, how are you? Are you still rebuilding?
Hillmorn is doing okay. We've been able to remove a lot of the control from quite a few of the people there. And there's currently still no mayor. The people are not fond of the idea of, again, allowing a single person that much power in the city. So
Probably for the best.
we currently have a leadership council, of which I sit on for reasons beyond my understanding. They're going as well as they can. We had the tax collectors come through recently. We had the money to pay them, and they left. It seems the Dark Lord has not felt the need to retaliate.
That's good so far.
We have no idea if he realizes that we've overthrown the mayor or anything, but the longer we can remain under the radar.
Well, that probably the secret way to be it for now.
I wish I could stay longer. I also wish I understood the importance of this. It seems like it's a very big deal, but all my time studying, I've never heard of any of this. So...
Yeah, I mean, what you said it matters and hasn't been seen in generations. So,
well, use it well. It seems that you all still seem to find ways to cause trouble and help people at the same time. I've been hearing many stories of what you did in Scornmote, specifically from your friend here. these days you may want to try enacting change without massive battles and bloodshed. It's a very different experience.
I'm sure, but the way they go with it, it feels like it might be unfortunately.
Makes sense. Well, it is late, and I have a very long trip ahead of me. Without my guide, apparently.
Will you be able to get back, or do you want
I think it would
to
probably.
stay the night or something?
I think it would be in everyone's best interest if I don't show up in town. As much as Ilmorn hasn't really been causing issues for the Dark Lord, the conversation out of Scorn Mode is slightly less positive. So the less I am connected with this town, the better. I've got everything I need to get to Middenwell without too much difficulty, and we've been sending regular caravans to Middenwell and back to get the city back up to stuff, so I should have no problem getting back. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Hello, hi, Jim.
And he, a little awkward at first, but he kind of wraps you in a hug eventually. Well, I'll leave you two alone. And he kind of wanders off. Well, do you want to walk back together? I mean, everybody already knows I'm in Scorn Mode, and they know you're in Scorn Mode, so there's no reason.
Yeah, hug that well. There's, yeah, but, okay.
All right. The way back to Scorn Mode's fairly uneventful. She eventually stops at a kind of rundown house. Seems to be fully intact, just not particularly well kept.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm staying for right now. So, I'm happy I'm able to help you.
I'm glad I found you here.
Me too. And then she goes into her house.
I'll go back to my room and when I'm in my room now, I feel the weight of my brain and get you to the feel like a new.
You find it's very, very well balanced. And as you practice with it a little bit, you actually find that not only can the dagger be thrown with incredible accuracy, but after it impacts, it comes directly back to your hand. So. Yeah, I was about to say you do start coming up with kind of explanations for why there are additional kind of chunks taken out of the wood on one of the sides of the room. And we'll just because I think this is fun. Vala, in the middle of the night, as you are sleeping, again, very, probably better than you slept even when you were in Ilmorn, because there's not as much of a weight of what you were doing on your chest. You're suddenly woken up to the sound of thum, soom, thum, soom, thum, soom. As it seems that Liliane has chosen the wall that you two share as her target.
Vala just like could investigate this, or I can sit here and not cause trouble. I'm going to sit here and not cause trouble.
It only lasts for about 10 or 15 minutes, and you're able to get to sleep afterwards. When you all wake up, I'll say this happened probably about like 4 in the morning, because the whole ritual took a decent amount of time and the travel and everything there. So Lillian, you don't quite get as much sleep as you probably would have liked. But everyone else you guys get your full rest. You still get the effect of a long rest, but you're a little bit groggy.
Alright.
Definitely looking for something with caffeine in it. So, as you all wake up, what do you guys want to do?
Roland makes breakfast.
Okay. You guys come down to see Rowan, because again, this is technically an inn. It has a fully functioning kitchen that, for the most part, has been used. Like, the only thing that's really been used in the kitchen since everything has happened is they have a stew pot that they've effectively been just keep adding stuff to it to create this kind of stew that everyone's been eating, because it's cheap, it's easy, and tends to have a remarkable amount of flavor from all the flavors just kind of intermixing in that. Rowan, on the other hand, uses the entire other half of the kitchen that nobody has touched.
Well, yeah, because they're just making stew over there. It's like, you have all this. Okay, fine. And it's like, okay, this is just, well, you're not using this either. Okay, wow. All right. Well, just like, I'm going to leave you some recipe cards. And
you guys
then
come down,
and then it comes down there, waffles.
You see like a melon basket with little like cantaloupe roses on it, and they were just sitting there. So yeah, you guys have a really, really good meal. Do you roll? Yeah, you roll for the temporary hit points, right,
Nope.
Rowan? Or
No,
it's just
everyone gets, because it's proficiency, so everyone gets 5.
5. So yeah, so you all get 5 temporary hit points and a full tummy.
I didn't know this place had a continental breakfast.
Luckily enough, the waffle machine was actually working today. So, and I can change the music because it's not the night anymore. What would you guys like to do now? Vala, did you want to confront anyone? Because you know who was in the room next to you. You all knew where you all were sleeping.
Did anybody hear like a thwacking noise in the middle of the night? Like a boom, boom, boom. Did you hear that, Liliang? No, just me. Just no?
I'm telling you straight up, asleep or not, Roland heard. He can't not hear it.
I was in the room across from you all, so I wouldn't have heard it.
No, I didn't.
No, just me, just going crazy. In the night.
Yeah, probably.
Have you ever read a book called The Telltale Heart?
Probably.
That's right. I invoked Poe, bitches. So after breakfast, you guys do have kind of a rough guide. You've been told where the boat is. The actual dock itself to Demise Tower is about a day-ish journey south from where you're at. Was there anything else you guys wanted to do in the town before you head out, or is there any prep you guys wanted to do?
and with our I'll give the beekeeper with the two gold
Okay.
and a tip.
Okay. Does Rowan mind that you're tipping the person that didn't cook your food, or?
Sure, sir. I don't care.
Okay.
You tip me, it better be in diamonds, bitch.
So, any other any other prep work that anyone else wants to do?
I think the only thing Rowan's else been doing, he's just been looking over the text that Balthazar gave him.
Yeah. You do find the text itself is extremely enlightening and kind of reinforces a few of the kind of theories that you had about this idea that the Dark Lady could be this kind of almost Grim Reaper-esque figure that had been always been kind of described to you thus far, of, you know, this creature that hungers for death and relishes when people die, the more gruesome the better. And the figure that you read about in this book is this kind of gentle, almost shepherd style character who just gently guides souls to their correct afterlife and takes care of and actually cares about the living and doesn't want them to die prematurely and things like that, which has been a very enlightening thing to read. And definitely when you first started reading it, you just got this almost instinctive fear that reading these words were somehow going to get you in trouble.
Rowan takes some solace in that, but he waits for the rest of the group, rest of the party.
Okay. So, anything else? All right.
I think Vala's good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
So, as you all are getting ready to go, if you would like, you can negotiate horses. That'll get you there slightly faster. However, these particular horses are trained so that when you get off of them at the docks, since there's no guarantee you're going to come back, they will go back home to Scornmote without you. Or you guys can just walk it.
How many days travel is it?
Just about, like, without horses, it's a little over a day. Depending on how long you guys sleep for, you can make it in maybe day and a half-ish. On horses, you'll make it before nightfall.
Like horses.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
So you guys all get your horses, and as you guys start to kind of pull out money to pay your fees, they just kind of wave you off. And one of the caretakers just turns to you and goes, "Just remember, you don't take everything you want off of them. We're going to take it back here. And anything the horse comes back with is fair game for us. We will take it, we will eat it if we can eat it, or we will sell it if we can't."
Oh, I will offer. Does the sheriff get the Pearl of Brief Discourse back, or would you prefer for me to keep a hold of it?
He didn't ask for it back. So if you want to see if he wants it back, you can.
Relwyn would ask.
Okay. So yeah, his basic. Man, my brain is just not working today, guys. The gist of what you get from him is, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to have a way to just very briefly contact each other. if something bad happens, or if like the Blood Pack comes through town, you know, giving you guys a heads up would not be a bad idea. So like, go ahead and hold on to it, keep it close. We never know if we're going to need it or not. And to be perfectly honest, if you guys succeed in whatever you're doing in the Demise Tower, he probably would want to know, because there's always a chance that anything else that's been caught in there when you get what you're looking for may come out. And Scornmote and Klossgate are the two closest places to Demise Tower. So anything that gets out is going to go to one of them.
Understood. Thank you.
Anything else? Cool. So, as you are traveling, Argenta,
Mm-hmm.
since dealing with the Bloody Fang, you've been feeling somewhat just strange. There's a bit of a weight lifted off your chest that you've finally been able to get vengeance on the person that was responsible for murdering your mercenary company. However, for whatever reason, like, the world just seemed to be weighing heavier on you. And your shoulders would get, it would almost feel like, you know, you were wearing an extra heavy cloak or something, because your shoulders would get kind of tired really quick. And as you guys are traveling, Argenta, you would notice at first, you would start seeing these little kind of patches of darkness just appearing every so often. And when you would look at them again, there'd be nothing there. But the further you guys went on these horses, the more often it started happening. And Vala again. Vala, you are the first person to notice that as you guys are traveling, you just see this tiny kind of spot of darkness in front of you. That it almost looks like a shadow, but there's nothing casting it. It's just this area of kind of dim light and darkness that just appears. And then when you realize it's there, you kind of blink and look again, and it's gone.
Guys, I think I may be going crazy. Last night I was hearing things, now I'm seeing things.
Wait, you see it too?
Like a little like a shadow that appears and then disappears.
I've been noticing them for the last hour.
Okay, so... Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better. But now I'm not. What can be causing little shadows?
I've also felt a bit, tired's not the right word, but it's burdened. Burdened is a good word. That it's strange.
I am gonna do a thing. I'm gonna pull out my lute and begin playing Counter Charm.
Okay.
So just playing some music, playing some Counter Charm just in case, because it's a thing I can do.
Okay. So as you start playing, you and Argenta both notice this kind of shadow starting to form directly between you. And instead of, when you kind of look at it again, it kind of vanishing like an eye floater or something, this time it's staying there, and it seems to be getting darker.
I'll make sure Argenta notices it.
Yeah, she's looking over at it.
I'll bring my horse to a halt.
Okay.
Do we see this too, or just them?
Yeah, everyone can now see that there's this kind of darkness that is equidistant between Argenta and Vala. And as Vala stops, the shadow itself stops as well.
I'll just kind of circle my horse around Vala's horse to see what happens.
And as you do that, you watch as the shadow remains exactly between you guys the entire time.
I'll poke it.
As you touch it, you watch as the shadow kind of flares. And then the rest of you look, and Vala and Argenta are no longer here.
Do we see them vanish?
Yeah, you watch as the shadow just kind of foom, and then the horses are still there, but Vala and Argenta aren't. Argenta and Vala, as you guys look around, Argenta, you can feel kind of the weight of the Shadowfell all around you. As you look, you seem to be in a room that is kind of created out of what is best described as solidified darkness. Like the floors are made of a darkness so deep that you can actually touch it and feel it. And the walls, you're effectively in what looks like a kind of 30 by 30 by 30 box. You can see Vala there too. And Vala, as you look at Argenta, Argenta seems different. You notice that the cloak that Argenta constantly wears seems to be kind of flowing and almost radiating shadow energy. You can see shadows literally kind of spilling off of it like a waterfall and kind of pooling at the ground and vanishing.
Okay, this place is weird, and I don't like it.
She's just looking around.
Vala, you watch as Argenta looks around. You suddenly see Argenta blinks out of existence and appears over your right shoulder.
How did you do that? Like, wait, when you say over my right shoulder, like...
As in behind you, looking over
Okay.
your right shoulder. Not like on it.
Got it.
She has now become your evil side.
I was going to say,
Unfortunately, your good angel, they're on work release. So they may show up, they may not. There was talk about work from home, but they noticed that productivity just dropped like a rock. So they're trying to figure out if work from home is really going to be that great for kind of a good side angel.
Yeah, I always felt like Argento was the angel on my shoulder telling me not to get in trouble, and Vala is the angel. Vala is her own devil.
I'm getting this idea of like, I could do this. What is that? No. It's got a point.
Just an angel holding a stress ball with a headset. No, don't. No, you shouldn't. No. Yeah, whatever the other one's saying, don't do that.
How did you do that? You just moved
I-
around.
I just thought of coming over next to you, and I think I accidentally teleported.
Where are we?
If I had to guess based on the different times I've kind of hopped through planes for half a second, there's this one shadowy one. It's kind of depressing. Feels the same.
I like this place. I'm going to pull out my sword
Mm-hmm.
and cast a light on it.
As you do, the light doesn't seem to work. Like the spell happens, and you can see the light on your. You said dagger, right? You see the
Sword.
sword. Sorry, you see the light on the tip of your sword, but it doesn't seem to illuminate this place at all.
I will put my sword away and cast Flame Blade at second level.
Okay, Flame Blade kind of works the same way. You have your flaming scimitar, in your hand, and it seems to give off all the same heat and everything that you're used to doing it, but the light just doesn't seem to illuminate anything other than you.
Do not like this place.
And as you say that, the place kind of winks out of existence. And suddenly you can see Vala and Argenta kind of appear. Vala, your horse has kind of wandered a little bit away from where it was when you vanished. And so when you appear exactly where you were before, just minus a horse beneath you. And you kind of drop about 4 feet. Argenta, your horse just hadn't moved much, and so you just kind of have to rewrite yourself slightly to get on the saddle the same way you're supposed to be.
All right.
Yeah. Oh,
Hey.
hey.
What was that?
I have no idea.
How long
We
were
were
they
in-
gone from our perspective?
Yeah.
About 30 seconds.
Was I getting any feeling attention from the shadow when I noticed it?
I would say you probably felt a little bit of the presence of the Shadowfell from it, since a lot of the creatures that you hunt tend to have at least a slight affiliation with the Shadowfell. So yeah, you would feel a little bit of the Shadowfell bleed from it when they disappeared and then when they reappeared.
Well, I mean, to be fair, we did press that one shadow orb into my cloak at the start of all of this.
Roland just starts half slapping Argenta. Who just touches a shadow? Who just touches a nondescript shadow?
If arcane bullshit is going to happen, it's better it happens to me because Vala has an affinity for it.
That is not a justification. That's not a justification you think it is.
You did not travel with us from the very beginning. You do not know how many things have happened to that woman because we let her go 5 steps away from camp.
That's not a justification.
One time I went looking for firewood and came back with a fungal infection in my lungs.
So the time you just went wandering and came back with lycanthropy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she took a walk and, came back and was having to be tied down and watched the entire night because she was transforming.
Argenta was taking one for the team here.
You were Mormon.
To be honest, I was going to try to light the shadow on fire, so...
Nothing you're stating is a justification. If more, it proves my point.
I mean, it worked out, I think. It's weirdly related to the cloak, I think.
Please get back on your horse before you do something and we explode.
I'm already on my horse. Val's
I know,
on
but
the-
Val's not.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. If we think there's something magical about the cloak, if we take 10 minutes, I can see if I can tell what's up with it.
Sure. I mean, she just kind of rides the horse closer.
Can I do identify while on a horse?
I don't see why not. I mean, it would probably be more difficult to do it on a horse than if you got off because the ritual aspect requires you to actually do rituals. I mean, it's not impossible to do a ritual on a horse, but it sure looked funny.
Well,
You're sitting there
I'm
going,
all
no,
about-
backwards, back. No, just literally less than 6 inches that way. That's all I need. horse swats you with its tail. Not helping.
So, for the lulls, I will do this on horseback. I will cast Identify, take the 11 minutes, and...
because of the horse, it
see.
takes you 21 minutes. But as you cast the Identify, the first thing that you notice is because of the unique properties of this cloak, the Identify spell doesn't actually work the way you expect it would. In the idea that it doesn't identify, like it doesn't say, oh, this is a wand of fireballs or something like this, because this is a completely unique artifact level item. You are able to sense teleportation magic built into it. You can see that it has distinct connections to the prime material plane, the elemental plane of water, and now the Shadowfell. But beyond that, you can't really... The Identify spell won't give you specifics, just because of how unique and kind of powerful this particular item is.
I've never seen anything like this before. For someone that hates arcane bullshit, there's a lot of arcane bullshit here. But yeah, it seems to be connected to the prime material plane, the plane of water, and now the Shadowfell.
Interesting.
Growan once again is playing catch up. He's just like, he's listening to someone describe anime. Just
Right, you're not used to the planes, are you?
See, what happened was they tried to transmute their mother, and that caused...
I don't want to hear the story about the alchemist and the dog again. Do not. No.
And it was the daughter. So
I said no.
Edward!
Alwyn, friend. Oh.
Edward!
Rowan cast Sunburst.
we're done with this. Never seen a cleric cast Sunburst on themselves. So yeah, this whole ordeal takes, barely like 25-ish minutes. The vast majority of that is Vala trying to teach a horse how to do a ritual. But you guys are able to get back on track without too much difficulty.
It looks like you're badly trying to teach a horse dressage.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Come on, this will work. It'll pay off. Trust me. Horses are very smart.
It'll pay off like the tents.
Don't let me forget. We need to get the elvish cloth when we go back into town.
So, you guys eventually get back on course, and long before you can see the lake that encompasses Demise Tower, which, remarkably enough, has no name. Like, whenever anyone references this particular area, they just call it Demise Tower, and no one even speaks about the lake. But as you guys are getting to the point where you can't see it yet, you're kind of overwhelmed with this scent of kind of musk and almost kind of like a musty, moldy scent in the air. And you notice as the humidity just starts rising astronomically, and the temperature itself starts to get colder and colder, as it feels like you guys are riding through kind of rain when there isn't any. You start noticing that just the kind
Damp
of
air.
Yeah, just how heavy the air is with water vapor. As you ride through it, you notice that your hair starts getting damp, your clothes start getting a little bit damp, and that kind of musty, moldy smell just keeps getting stronger and stronger until eventually you can see the lake that Demise Tower is in, and you can see Demise Tower itself. It rises up 200 feet and is completely black. From where you guys are standing on the beach of this lake, you can't actually see any definition. It literally just looks like a kind of black line on the horizon.
That blackest black paint.
Yeah. It seems to kind of draw in light from around it and just destroy it. Looking at the lake itself, you can see algae and moss kind of floating in patches. And unlike what you would kind of expect to see of like a beach or something, going up to the lake itself is this kind of thick, viscous bog-like area that extends a good 100 feet away from where the kind of edge of the lake starts. And anchored to what looks like maybe a sandbar or something similar to that is a kind of wicked-looking boat. It is made of this kind of deep, almost cherry-colored wood. And it has black metallic reinforcement all over it. Kind of a black iron, wrought iron kind of look to it. And you don't see any oars or anything, simply a rudder. What would you all like to do?
I think Realm will be the first to remind us. I believe we were told about not touching the water.
Yeah.
You notice other than the kind of floating patches of moss and algae, the water itself is deadly still. The water is so still it almost forms a mirror where it looks like the tower is twice as tall as it actually is.
Just so we know what we're dealing with, do we have a stick or anything around here? Or is it like a clear cut before we get to...
There's effectively kind of like a... I don't know what they call it in a swamp, but there's a land kind of bar that leads to this kind of natural dock that the boat is moored at. So you guys can walk there without having to go into any of the... I guess... See, I've always thought of sandbars as things in like the ocean. I thought there was an actual name for something like that in a swamp, but I might be wrong. We have them in Wisconsin. We have bogs, and apparently Wisconsin also grows a crap ton of cranberries.
Yeah.
And so we create our own bogs because that's the best way to grow cranberries. And you harvest them by flooding, which I always thought was interesting.
Mm.
So yeah, you guys can get entirely to the boat without touching water at all. I don't know if you guys have ever smelled kind of a stagnant lake, but that is definitely what this is. It's this weird, there's kind of a moldy scent to it, and it's also kind of rancid because nothing can live in a stagnant lake. So that smell just kind of overwhelms everything around you.
Well, shall we?
I guess.
Make sure to take everything you want to keep off with you from the horses.
Yeah.
Vala will give her horse a carrot.
The horse kind of looks at you, and despite the fact that you don't speak horse, you're pretty certain it's still mad that you forced it to perform a ritual. So it takes the carrot, but it still gives you that side eye, and kind of turns around and starts walking away.
If he knew how to identify, he'd know the carrot was cursed.
You watch as the tail lifts, and then it just drops a load as it's walking away.
Yeah, Vala will go get in the boat, I guess.
Yeah.
As you step
Yep.
into the boat, you've stepped into small kind of dinghy size boats before. This, at first, you almost think that the boat itself is beached or something, because you step into it, you kind of expect it to sway and kind of give under your weight a little bit, because that's how boats work. Nothing happens. It's almost as if you're stepping onto solid ground. Boat doesn't move a centimeter.
Very steady, very heavy.
There's
I
enough.
think
Go ahead.
this boat is magic.
That would make sense. Give him a sailor about America.
There's enough space on the boat for 8 people to sit fairly comfortably. You could put more people, probably up to like a dozen and a half, if they weren't too worried about getting friendly. But safely, 8 people. Anyone else going on?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
As you all sit down, there is one seat that is set by the rudder itself. Everything else is just kind of planks across it. Does anyone sit effectively in the driver's seat?
Sure.
Okay. As you sit down there, you feel your body start to tingle a little bit. And you can feel the presence of magic, specifically coming from the rudder itself. What would you like to do?
The magic's coming from the rudder.
Mm-hmm.
I'll grab the rudder.
As you do, you guys all feel the boat kind of lurch a little bit, and it starts moving as if it were being rowed, but there's nothing to row it. And for the most part, you see that if you turn the rudder, you can steer it like you would a traditional boat with a rudder. But any time you go too far off the path it seems to be set with, you would start to feel resistance from the rudder, and you would feel this just tiny, slight pain behind your left eye.
Every time I would turn it, I feel a slight pain, or they feel a slight pain.
You would feel the pain, but it's only if you go too far off the path. Like, you can turn and move it a little bit, but if you start basically changing the direction of the boat to where it wouldn't be heading in the direction of Demise Tower, that's when the boat effectively starts to fight back.
Okay, so basically with this, because Argenta's, like, she's trained to direct, like, a carriage and everything, land vehicles, but not water vehicles. So it's like when you're getting used to the controls in a video game, but you're supposed to follow a path. So we're swerving a lot, and then she's just like, nope, correct it. Because the pain triggers whenever she goes too far off.
And you guys would kind of watch this as Argenta. You could see kind of in her face as she's starting to kind of understand what's going on. And then you go a little bit too fast. You'd watch her just kind of wince for a little bit and then adjust. And then, and then you go a little bit too far the other way. And you'd see her wince. And then, she seems very confident in her position now.
You get about the boat without rails.
It takes about 2 or 3 hours to navigate all the way to Demise Tower itself. And the closer you guys get, the bigger it seems. Because you couldn't see any definition before, it was really hard to kind of gauge how large it was, because it was just like a black line on the horizon. Now that you guys are getting closer and you're starting to see definition of it, you can see kind of columns and things like that. This is a massive, massive structure. And the closer you get, the more cold it starts feeling, and not just temperature wise, like your entire body seems to want to kind of shut down the closer you get to that. You guys start noticing that staring directly at the tower makes you feel uncomfortable, like you're looking at something that you're not supposed to. And the closer you get, all of you start feeling this weird sense of unease as the more the tower kind of lords over you, and the taller that it gets as you get closer, the more you feel like you've done something incredibly wrong and are about to be punished for it. And eventually you watch as the boat comes to the only opening near the water. There is a very, very large, for lack of a better word, it's a portcullis, but all of the kind of spaces that would normally be there so you could kind of see through the portcullis have been filled with various bits of moss and vines and other kind of plants and things like that, to where it's completely impossible to see through it. And you can see thorns and other things that have this bright red liquid kind of leaking out of them and kind of going down into the water, where when they hit the water, you can watch as it turns from this kind of bright red to this deep maroon, almost blackish red liquid that doesn't spread out and kind of flow over the surface tension of the water. It drops like bits of mercury. As you get closer and closer to it, you watch as the kind of wall of thorn suddenly starts rising, and you watch as everything shakes and little droplets of this red liquid kind of fall off and hit the water and just sink in perfect little beads. And as it rises up, as you guys go under it, all of this kind of red liquid has stopped dripping by the time you get under it. And it brings you into kind of a really, really basic room. The room itself has a dock, and you can actually see a path that the boat can take to go underneath the dock, come back around, and then leave, so that the boat never has to kind of turn around. It just follows this path. But it does stop at the dock itself. The dock has a gangplank that goes to this black stone landing, and then you can see stairs kind of going up, and then going up again, and then going up one more time, and then there is a single door of wrought iron on the far wall, probably about 15-20 feet above where you guys are. What would you all like to do?
Rowan's going to disembark.
Okay. As you step onto the dock itself, you suddenly hear this incredibly loud ringing sound, as if a bell tower has just been struck. You hear this dong, dong. But look as you can, you don't see anything that could be making the sound, but it's incredibly loud and kind of reverberating. And it's loud and deep enough that you can kind of feel it in your chest each time it goes dong, dong, and it kind of reverberates. You actually change your breathing patterns a little bit because it hurts to kind of fight against the reverberations. So you start breathing in time with the bell. Suddenly, the door cracks, and you hear kind of a seal being broken as the door rises into the roof, and you see a figure standing at the top of the door. On their hip, you can see a long sword, again made of this strange kind of combination of deep red and brown cherry wood and this black wrought iron. You can't see the blade itself because it's sheathed right then. And then you can see on his arm he has this kind of relatively large, almost tower shield sized shield. The shield itself again is this kind of deep wrought iron black, and this one has little specks of this kind of blue indigo color to it. And while you don't think it was intentionally made this way, the pattern of the iron and the kind of grain of it forms almost kind of a sinister face on the shield. The figure itself is covered head to toe in armor that matches both the hilt and the shield, this deep kind of black and blue wrought iron. The face itself is hidden completely under a helmet, and you can see two tiny eye holes that seem to almost have blue flames behind them. They glow a bit. And as the figure opens the door and sees you all there, he comes through the door, and you hear this incredibly loud, reverberating voice.
You do not have clearance to be here. Leave, or you shall never leave again.
How do we get our membership cards?
About face walks back into the door, and he watches the door descends.
Guess he's not customer service.
Excuse me, we want to speak to the manager.
No answer. Are the rest
What
of
are
you guys
his-
staying on the boat, or are you gonna come onto the dock with Relwyn?
I would have come on to the dock while that was all
Yeah,
happening.
me
Yeah.
too.
Okay.
It's like, you assholes leave me there alone with it.
Yeah, bye.
So Relwyn's dead. Imp, you've got another character, right?
Bye!
As you all step onto the dock, you notice that the boat itself kind of lurches, and you lose it a little bit as it goes underneath the dock and starts going on its return trip away. You guys do have a moment when it comes out from the other side if you wanted to jump back on the boat, but we're talking about basically a minute worth of time before it gets far enough that you'd have to go in the water to follow it.
I'm not getting in that water.
Nope.
It looks refreshing.
All right, so what's the plan?
I was under the impression you had it. Or someone did.
Well,
Can we just go in?
I
do
don't
we
know.
want to pretend somebody that it may to be taken?
I mean, sure, why not? And Vala will begin walking up the steps.
Okay. As you step on each step, kind of the weight of your predicament seems to weigh more and more heavily on you. Each additional step, you feel this impending feeling of doom and finality. And by the time you get to the first landing, despite the fact that you don't really feel like these thoughts are your own, you're already starting to feel like you should be repenting for something that you've done. That maybe that will be enough to prevent you from having to go in here. As you continue up the second set of steps to the second landing, again, that overwhelming feeling of dread starts to take hold. Your stomach turns cold. Your breathing shallows, and it speeds up a little bit. By the time you get to the second landing, you get this overwhelming feeling that your life, as you've known it, is ended, and it is entirely your fault. As you continue up to the final landing, again, more dread. Your heart itself starts to feel like it's no longer pumping blood the way it's supposed to. You start to feel a little bit faint, and when you get to the third landing, you've effectively given up, or you feel the need to just give up on the life that you used to know. You feel this strange compulsion to remove everything but your basic garments, because they no longer fit the person that you are. Whether you decide to acquiesce to this compulsion or not is up to you, but you feel like it's the right thing to do, to disarm yourself, to take literally everything of value off of yourself and just kind of remain there in the most basic clothing you have.
I think Vala, given her experiences over the last year, none of these thoughts are new or unique to her.
Okay.
And what's been keeping her going is, like, all of that's true, but I have a job to do. And once that job's done, I'll face those consequences. But I think she would, I think she would kind of power through that.
As you finally kind of make that decision, you feel almost like a light switch has been turned on. You get this overwhelming sense that you've made the wrong decision, but that the decision has been made, and nothing you do now is going to change that.
Okay. Fire has been lit.
Do the rest of you want to follow Vala?
I will.
So you all go through a very similar process. Each time you get to a landing, you have a new kind of revelation about yourself. Probably for Welwyn, this may be the first time you've had these particular feelings, because for most of your life you've kind of been doing what you felt is the right thing, and kind of fighting against what you felt was kind of a lie and an oppressive manipulation. And so for you specifically, these feelings and these ideas feel almost alien, because they're not stuff that you've kind of thought of that much before. But as you get to the third landing, you again feel the same compulsion that Vala felt, where you think like you are supposed to give up everything that you have and leave it here, because that's no longer who you are. And again, it is entirely up to you whether or not you feel that they would acquiesce to that.
I think Relwyn, although while he is not, as you've said, had these thoughts per se, he is definitely from a village where the monsters live. And he's also definitely he still had conflicting thoughts and feelings about this, but while at the same time, not necessarily paranoia, but having to have his head on a swivel at all times, being wherewithal enough, and also being through the connection he has established, and not yet able to put an exact pin on it. He understands enough. He's like, these thoughts are not my own. These thoughts are not my own. My actions have led me here. Not this decision. My decision is my decision. It's my decision.
Okay.
And so he will stay as he is.
And again, as you come to that decision and you make it, again, it's just like a light switch goes off. And again, you get this very overwhelming, but again, very alien feeling that you've made the wrong choice, but the choice has been made. For Argenta, again, same basic issue. You have had these thoughts many times before, especially when you were dying over and over and over again. And so by the time you get to the third landing, this isn't even the second or third time you've made this decision. Through the dozens and dozens of deaths and rebirths, you had many times when you thought about just giving everything up and kind of giving into it. But you still feel the compulsion. And again, it's entirely up to you what you do as a result of that compulsion.
The compulsion, like this choice is easier than the last because I have more items that are no longer my own. At first it was just the dagger my brother gave me, but now it's Commander's gun and this cloak that chose me. I didn't pick it up. So she just keeps walking.
Okay. And again, you feel that light switch. You feel that feeling of you made the wrong choice, but because you've made this choice so many times before, that kind of overwhelming feeling that you chose wrong doesn't even feel like your own feeling. Like, to you specifically, it's almost obvious someone is imprinting their belief onto you. And because of that, it's even easier for you to kind of ignore that feeling because you know it's not yours. Liliane, as you go through the process, again, this overwhelming feeling of guilt, you're kind of reminded of everything that happened at the church. You start remembering things that you haven't remembered in a long time because they were incidents where you stood back and allowed things to happen because you thought it was for the greater good at that point. And now each one of those decisions starts weighing on you incredibly heavily. And your sword itself, which has now been blessed with this ritual of the Allies' piety, the idea that someone was so pious and someone had such strong faith that it imbued your weapon with additional power and abilities starts making you feel almost like a fraud, like you don't deserve this. And again, when you get to that third step, you get this overwhelming compulsion to drop everything except for your most basic clothes because they are no longer who you are. You no longer deserve them.
I think with the thought that I don't deserve it is with the compulsion, the first thought in my head would be to get rid of the sword.
Okay.
But as I grab the grip, I just feel it was. I don't remember what she wrote. And then that's the thought of not your own. And then I think back of what she went through and how strong she made it out of it. Put my hand down and away from the sword and
Okay. So again, as you make that decision, again, it's like light switch flicks on. You no longer feel the compulsion, but you get this overwhelming feeling that you made the wrong decision. As you guys are all standing there, and you can see everyone has been dealing with something. Like, you all look like you've just spent a full day running a marathon. Emotionally, you all look spent. As you all kind of look at each other with exhaustion, the door starts to raise again. And that is where we're going to end it for today. As always, if you missed any of this, I do upload all of these to my YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/TrainerJody, so you can watch the entire series that are there. Next week, I normally alternate on the first and third Wednesday of the month. I run Traversing the Veil. Second and fourth, I run Legend of the Three Kingdoms, because I've been forced to cancel a few times on these guys. Next week, we're going to be running Legend of the Three Kingdoms again. So if you want to find out what's on the inside of this tower, tune in next week. Otherwise, again, that is all for me today, and I will see you guys in the next time. All right? Bye-bye.